Jim Bob Duggar's silent battle, the tragedy that Michelle very crying the Duggar family. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The Arkansas morning sun rose with an eerie quietness over the Duggar household. In a place once filled with the sounds of laughter, children's footsteps, and Michelle's gentle singing, there was now silence, one that echoed grief, worry, and a deep sense of uncertainty. Jim Bob Duggar, the patriarch of the famous Duggar family, had been secretly fighting a life-threatening illness, cancer. What began as minor symptoms, occasional fatigue, night sweats, and mild stomach pain were brushed off by Jim Bob as signs of aging. "I'm just tired," that's all he would say, pushing aside Michelle's concerns. Through all, he was a man who had raised 19 children, managed a large household, built businesses, and been involved in politics. But Michelle, his wife of nearly 4 decades, knew something wasn't right. Weeks turned into months. Jim Bob's weight started dropping and his skin grew pale. It wasn't until he collapsed one morning in the family's prayer room that he was rushed to the hospital. That's when the truth could no longer be hidden. Diagnosis: advanced stage cancer. At Washington Regional Medical Center, doctors conducted a series of urgent tests. The results were devastating. Jim Bob Duggar was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The disease had spread to his liver and lymph nodes. The prognosis was grim. Michelle stood outside the ICU as the doctor broke the news. Her hands trembled and tears welled up in her eyes. "We're doing everything we can, but it's aggressive. You should prepare the family," the doctor said gently. Those words shattered her. The news hit the Duggar family like a freight train, a family in shock. For a family used to smiling in front of cameras and promoting the strength of their faith, this was a test like no other. The younger children, some still teenagers, were confused. The older ones, many with families of their own, rushed home to Arkansas. Jessa, Jinger, Jana, and John David all sat in a circle, praying silently, each one struggling to process the news. Josh, despite his controversies and estrangement, made a rare appearance. Even he couldn't ignore the gravity of the moment. "Dad may not have long," Michelle whispered as she hugged her son tightly. The family began rotating shifts at the hospital. Michelle never left Jim Bob's side. She sat with his hand in hers, praying, weeping, and sometimes singing softly, the same lullabies she used to calm their babies. Now they were meant to comfort a man fighting for every breath. Public reaction. A nation responds. When the news leaked that Jim Bob Duggar had been admitted to the hospital and was fighting cancer, social media erupted. Fans from the 19 Kids and Counting era, supporters of the family's values, and even critics offered condolences and prayers. Hashtags like #PrayForJimBob and #DuggarFamilyTragedy began trending. A wave of sympathy messages poured into the Duggar family's social pages. But behind the sympathy, there was also intense speculation. The Duggars had long been criticized for their controversial beliefs, political affiliations, and past scandals. For many, the news of Jim Bob's illness added another complex chapter to an already storied legacy. Final moments? A battle between hope and reality. Jim Bob's condition worsened. Despite aggressive chemotherapy, his body was failing. Cancer had spread rapidly. Doctors gave him weeks, possibly days. Michelle began preparing herself and the family for what seemed inevitable. "God is calling him home, then we'll accept his will," she said through tears in a family statement. "But we still believe in miracles." She organized a family vigil at the hospital. Nearly all of their 19 children, grandchildren, in-laws, and close friends gathered in the hospital chapel. They held hands, read scripture, and cried. A soft rendition of Amazing Grace filled the air. That night, Jim Bob briefly woke from a coma-like sleep. He looked at Michelle and whispered, "Thank you for this life. I love you." He then looked at his children one by one, his eyes full of tears and pride, and softly murmured, "Keep the faith." Those were his last words before he slipped back into unconsciousness. A moment the world wasn't ready for. Just after sunrise 2 days later, Jim Bob Duggar passed away. The hospital confirmed it at 6:14 a.m. Michelle collapsed into the arms of her daughters as the monitor fell silent. The man she had built a life with was gone. The news broke quickly. Jim Bob Duggar has died after battle with cancer. Television channels interrupted regular programming to announce it. Tributes flooded the internet. Even celebrities who had once mocked the Duggars offered condolences. A nation in mourning and reflection. Despite all the controversies surrounding the Duggar family, Jim Bob's death brought an unexpected wave of compassion. People remembered not just his television persona but also the father who raised 19 children with discipline, care, and unwavering faith. There were candlelight vigils held in multiple states by fans. A documentary crew, who had been filming for a follow-up to the original TLC show, postponed the release indefinitely, citing respect for the family. Michelle released a handwritten letter, posted to their family website. In it, she wrote, "Jim Bob was not a perfect man, but he loved God, he loved his family, and he tried to live out his faith every day. He told me once, 'If I die tomorrow, I want to be remembered as someone who tried to serve.' That's exactly who he was. My heart is broken, but I know we will meet again. Until then, I will keep our home, our memories, and our love alive." Life after Jim Bob. A family rebuilding. In the weeks following the funeral, a simple emotional service attended by over 500 people, the Duggar family slowly began adjusting to life without its cornerstone. Michelle, though shattered, found strength in her faith and her children. "I have to be strong for them," she told a local news outlet. That's what Jim Bob would have wanted. Jinger and Jana began helping with the younger kids. Jill, who had distanced herself from the family in recent years, stepped in to support her mother. There were tears but also moments of laughter as stories of Jim Bob's quirks and dad jokes were shared around the dinner table. The family chose to open a memorial foundation in his name, the Jim Bob Legacy Foundation, which would support large families, adoption efforts, and faith-based counseling centers. What Jim Bob left behind. Beyond the reality shows, political debates, and media headlines, Jim Bob Duggar left behind a complex legacy. He was loved and loathed in equal measure, but undeniably influential. His life symbolized dedication to his beliefs, to his family, and to the life he chose to lead. In his final days, there was no television crew, no spotlight, just love, prayer, and the quiet goodbye of a man who had once believed he'd live forever. In the echoes of his faith. For Michelle, the tears hadn't stopped. "He was my best friend," she would say to anyone who asked. "He taught me how to believe, how to raise a family, and how to never give up. Now I just have to learn how to live without him." The end of an era, the start of a new chapter. As summer passed in Arkansas, the Duggar home slowly found its rhythm again. The garden Jim Bob once tended now had new plants, placed there by his grandchildren. His favorite chair remained by the window, untouched. Michelle often sat nearby with a Bible on her lap, sometimes staring out the window, sometimes smiling through her tears. The cameras were gone. The fame had faded. But the love remained. Jim Bob Duggar's journey was over, but his story, his lessons, and his unwavering faith would live on. Jana Duggar admits there were a few surprises on her first trip with her new in-laws. Jana Duggar is soaking up some family time with her new in-laws. On Wednesday, March 19th, Duggar, 35, posted a YouTube vlog of a camping trip she took last fall with her husband, Stephen Wisman, and his family. The former 19 kids and counting star and Wisman, 31, tied the knot last August 15th in a classic, elegant ceremony. Counting on Alum gave her followers a tour of the trailer her husband purchased for the getaway. "It's actually kind of cute," a surprised Duggar said after doing a walkthrough of the trailer's bedroom, kitchen, and restroom. Duggar then explained they were traveling to Old Threshers, an annual event held over Labor Day in Mt. Pleasant, Iowa, that draws thousands of tourists. The Wisman family performed music at the event. The couple's first outing as husband and wife. Duggar gave a behind-the-scenes look at the event setup before walking around the town. She proudly filmed her husband and his brothers engaging in some light-hearted banter in between their musical performances, while also showing children playing and enjoying the music. Between the musical performances, Duggar highlighted shopping with local vendors where they taste-tested sodas, pickles, and snow cones. A fun element of the fair included old tractors shooting up sparks that she described as old-fashioned form of fireworks. To the end of the family's very eventful day, Duggar and Wisman sat around a quiet, unlit campfire with many empty camping chairs waiting for the rest of the family to arrive. "Sweet family time around the campfire," Duggar said in the video while panning over to her husband. Wisman said the family needed firewood for the campfire, so they did their part and got the firewood. "We provided it," Duggar said. panning to the firewood sitting in bags before continuing. And everyone showed up. Wisman had grabbed a bag of pretzel crisps to munch on while they continued waiting for the rest of the family. "They're all going to come," Duggar said, appearing unconvinced. "Great old family time." Moments later, the rest of the family arrived and proceeded to light the campfire. Duggar panned around the circle, showing the progress of the camping chairs filling in, giving a soft yay to the sight. The following day, Wisman gave a sweet introduction of his wife, Duggar, to a good-sized crowd. "This is her first year here," Wisman said in the microphone to the crowd while smiling proudly at his new wife. "We got married 2.5 weeks ago." The couple received a hilarious gift from Duggar's brother Jeremiah and his wife Hannah Duggar. Duggar sat on Wisman's lap as they opened it together to find metal whisks for an electric mixer. Duggar was handed a power drill to plug the whisks into. "Perfect, that is cool," Duggar said, smiling and laughing as Wisman helped her assemble the tools. "You can use the tools they're used to," Wisman said before Duggar completed his sentence. "And I will feel at home." Last August, Duggar told People during an exclusive interview in August that she had her dream come true wedding while marrying Wisman. The eldest Duggar daughter got engaged June 15th and exchanged vows during a traditional ceremony in front of 500 guests in Prairie Grove, Arkansas. "I think it is one of those things that all girls envision someday," Jana told People of her wedding 2 days before the celebration. "For me, it felt like, okay, it's never coming. But now it's starting to sink in. Reality is starting to set in. And I'm like, wow, this truly is something that I've dreamed of, and just to see it coming about is incredible and kind of hard to believe. It's a dream come true." Jana Duggar's sisters and mom visit her new home, and she made them work on DIY projects. Jana Duggar's life has been through a lot of changes in less than a year, but her family is still there by her side, even if she's now living in a totally different state for the first time. This week, Jana took to Instagram to share what happened when some of her family came to visit her before the Easter holiday weekend, and it looks like she really put them to work. Jana shared a little snippet from their time together earlier this week, showing that her mom Michelle, along with younger sisters Josie and Jordan, had traveled to Nebraska to stay with her and husband Stephen Wisman. "I so enjoyed having my mom and some of my sisters visit," Jana wrote in her caption. "They were very kind to help us with several house projects. To finish off their time here, we went out for brunch, coffee, and thrift store shopping. It looks like they had plenty of fun," even though Jana did use the extra manpower to get some things done around her house, which still seems to be a work in progress. Michelle even decked herself out in an oversized shirt and hat so she could get some painting done. Jana must have been so thankful. It's good to see they were able to visit her just before she hit another married life milestone, her very first Easter without her family. Fortunately, she and Stephen seemed to have a nice time celebrating together in Nebraska. On Sunday, Jana shared a photo of the couple together in their Easter best, paired with a clip from their outing to church for the occasion. There have been a lot of changes thrown Jana's way so far, but she seems to be loving married life, and after spending 30 years in a busy house like she did, she must really be enjoying all that quiet too.